it was hard to get people to talk about anything. Get people to do anything. We can't even get people to talk about things. Nobody wanted to break their silence or tell the truth of their horrible experience or what they had gone through that had made them into the diamond that they are. Some people were sharing the same story with a different pen. Some chose to just lock the pen away, never sharing a thing that occurred internally. I'd like for you to be able to hear me at the same time. Perhaps that should do. I know it's not the best visual stimuli, however, I like to be able to play my music at a certain hertz or loudness, or however, I'll stop allowing you to interfere with my connection. It runs deeper than that, though. Some things just had the force and the ability to do so. There's so many different things I wanted to share with you. It was just so hard to just cover every single subject. It just didn't seem like we had enough time, and sometimes it became almost effortless, and other times it became like the hardest thing that I ever done. It was just sharing some words or showing some love or allowing you to blindly see. I'm kind of actually really excited to write my paper. My dad actually helped me more than anything, like helping me mentally understand everything that's going on. I freaking love this song. Scott, I want to say Richardson, or I don't really remember his name. Scott something. I called him something else. I can't remember his name. It was a mall rat name, you guys. I grew up in Plantation. I was born in Miami Beach. However, I feel like I was born and raised in Plantation, Broward County. Alright? And everybody thinks we're a bunch of rich kids, you know? In some aspects, a lot of times the parents were. Yet at the same time, how do you think they earned that wealth? They were always at work, so therefore the children go neglected, just constantly fed things and foods and just given the TV and devices and electronics and, things to just kind of tune out and to make them feel less guilty for the things that they were doing. And at the same time, they were just trying to get by and give us the things that they thought we wanted. Yet at the same time, we were taught to want. And they were taught that that's what we wanted. Yet at the same time, we never really opened up and said what we wanted. See, I'm kind of tapping into this inner ghetto, which is something else that kind of nobody really talks about, that actually does go on in Broward County. Essentially, it goes on everywhere at the same time. I understand that I'm not necessarily poverty level of $1 a day or less, or I understand the rough conditions that other people have lived through and have chosen, and some that haven't chosen, and I know how deep the rabbit hole goes, okay? Yet, I'm just attempting to share my own personal experience or my own thing that I know that people from Broward County just know and understand. Especially, it goes on a geographic stand, and I mean, we can go into spiritual aspects of this with the ley lines and the geographical residence, or the, I actually just thought of a word that's inside my art book, something to do with environment. I forgot the terms, okay? So I definitely have to read my book a little bit more before I write about my paper. So I actually know my terms and know what I'm talking about a little bit more confidently. And you guys, I can bounce and channel between topics, as you can see, at light speed. And so many different things intervene into one another, and then you had the ability to ask me certain things that could either take me completely off track and help me lose what I was channeling into, that was kind of feeding myself by me feeding you kind of thing. that's where all healing is self-healing and all that stuff kind of comes into play as well. I'm attempting to concentrate and go down the rabbit hole that I feel so hard for this Broward County situation. You guys, there's a lot of things about Broward County that just we don't talk about, and some things that like you better not talk about kind of thing too, and that goes for the whole world too, you know. I mean, this is just something that I intimately have experienced on a personal level, and I've witnessed family, and I've been through it, and it's been my framing or my experiences. So I kind of like felt like I understood things in ways that not everybody else could feel them. For example, one thing I will say about Broward County that I know for a fact is that they downgrade murders to suicides constantly. And you will lose your job. I have a family member who lost their job because they would not downgrade a murder to suicide, and I became intimate in a protest, essentially. Not about the job, about a bigger picture, and I actually met the family of the child, basically, the daughter, where that had happened. There's a lot of things I've seen. I actually know musicians, you could say. I'm not really into name dropping unless, you know, you're about that, or I feel like you're about that. At the same time, I also, in some ways, wanted to protect some people's names, you know. I'll say Bozo, man. Bozo's daddy is a priest here. And I just always knew that there was some of the most corrupt things that happened in that household. I could just feel the energy, and that's something that kind of just digs me into my roots, that I just know that I'm meant to do this energy cleaning, or whatever you want to call it. All the different services that I potentially could offer should I choose this path of creating this, though it's just like I basically almost wanted to make like a Walgreens or a Walmart of this energetic cleansing, or just create some kind of awareness that had to do with the actual science and metaphysics, I keep wanting to call it. It is just a form of physics, though. It's just like on a different level that some people didn't really want to accept, which it's almost like they didn't want help. It just, in some ways, it just didn't make sense. Yeah, in some ways, I kind of understand why they want to reject it, because imagine, yeah, I mean, it almost sounds fantasy-like. You have this rock in your life, and if this rock is inside your energetic field, you're more likely to draw this type of situation or this type of awareness, or if you keep thinking about this, that this will happen, or there is some level where that is true. Kind of like in physics, I can't stress that one enough. Like, I mean, that's the most easiest one to share with you, basically, is how literally, if you do an experiment, and in one experiment you're watching the experiment, and the other experiment no one's watching, it's hard to explain, okay? I'd have to show you this, I think his name is Dr. Quantum, and it's the double slit experiment, okay? Watch that, and that's basically what I'm talking about when something's watching something versus when it's not. Sometimes it gets irritating, because sometimes you just feel stupid that you can't explain it, but it also, like, it makes you feel stupid that, like other people are so stupid kind of thing. So it's just like, God, like, I can't even give you the outline of this, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many blueprints to this file or this subject. It's just like, you can only touch the tip of the iceberg, and essentially you couldn't learn everything in life. But there's just so many things that one could learn. I feel like that's why I was always drawn to, like, super old people. Although actually, from learning my Akashic records, I learn why, you could say, older people. And some part of it would actually scare people to know, especially if they're older and they're drawn to my energy. At the same time,
Stay in the left lane.
I would give you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought before I gave you anything else. Because I remember being a child, and my father gave me that book to read. And the main reason why I remember as a baby or whatever reading that book is because I remember insanely fearing death. Like, I had this obsession with the macabre. And I still do. I mean, there's so many parts of me that are so deeply integrated, and it runs on ancestral and spiritual levels, and there's so many different things that I could share with you and that I have come to know and understand. At the same time, like, it almost felt like it was forbidden, or that, like, you know, you could say they didn't want you to know. And I wanted to say Allied Martin, I don't even know if that's their name, you know. I still don't have all the still don't have all the facts, you guys. I'll always be the fool. I'll always not know everything. I will always have someone smarter and better than me. And I accept that. And when you accept that, it basically takes away all that power that tends to have over you and your ego and your self-conscious. I'm not sure if I should have turned left or what. Look at that. I don't know if you can see what I can see. For the shakiness and the sensitivity. Yo, visual stimuli can also totally take you to another realm. And I know you can feel all the different vibrations from this, especially if you tap in. And I know everybody can feel it. And like, I want to say that you're crazy not to think that they don't know this, or that when I say they, I mean like everybody. Everybody that's smart. Should we just put it that way? That's who they are. The most intelligent. Do you not believe that the people that have actually come to know and understand the formula of things are not the elite, the 1%? And then, yeah, they keep it in the family. I mean, there's so many different things that just tie into one another, and it's just like, it was just like a big joke to any consciousness that couldn't really recognize. Yet at the same time, it was almost traumatic to really wrap your mind around the bigger picture of what's really going on. For me, I just felt things so deep. I just felt like, imagine you could feel almost everybody's pain. Like literally every single billions of people, all the pain in one circumference. Feel that dark veil. And I want to tell you the truth, you do. Everybody does. If you think that you don't feel that, that's why the Gaia situation is so freaking important, you guys. We have to raise everybody. Everybody needs to know this stuff. That's why they're trying to do the Elon Musk thing, you know, tap everybody in. Otherwise, yes, you do have to basically exterminate, the lower vibrations, the uneducated, you know, the people that just, that's eugenics in some way. I empathize why they chose, you know, imagine, and people are already doing that, you know, creating the most perfect, handsome, intelligent, whatever you value in life. Honesty, yeah. See, I don't know necessarily if you can control that. I mean, in some, there's a lot of essences that go into that. Topics run really, really deep, and psychology was huge, framing was huge, what you chose to pay attention to, how you spent your time, vortexes, there's so many different things. Spelling, sounds, frequencies. I'm telling you, there's a thing, it's called, silent weapons for quiet wars. Google that line. Rewind and play that again if you have to. That's the great thing about me creating my visual art. I could share these things with you, but at the same time, I needed to eat. And it was like pulling teeth whenever I try to convince people to, feed me. I'm giving you something. Please give me something back in return. But at the same time, people only wanted me to have things that they wanted me to have. That also kind of sucked. People wanted to control me. People, if they knew you were going to spend money on weed, right, they wouldn't. But that's what you're going to spend it on, right? This is underwear goes inside the pants kind of thing. Look that up, too. I'm just making a bad joke, okay? That's some lower vibrational energy stuff, okay? I've been there. I feel you that you've been there, but I also would like to come to know the higher stands of understanding to say, but I couldn't learn that unless I went through every level, okay? And everybody's going through that, and some people give up, and some people only get to experience certain different levels. It's almost nauseating. It's you don't want to pay attention to all that because it's overwhelming, because it's so much information to take in, and the body almost can't process it, or almost it doesn't want to. But we're growing, constantly integrating, and sometimes we didn't have a choice because some things we were forced upon. Think about all of those people that the United States government admitted to doing awful torment stuff to, you know, where they consciously or chose without consensual knowing the children were poisoned with radiation, and they did awful experiments. You can Google this. It's on Wikipedia, actually. It's pretty educational, and I believe it's Bill Clinton, actually, that came out making a public statement. I'm not really sure, you guys. I don't really pay attention to politics that much, although I do kind of tune into what's going on in the universe, and I try to help you, and by helping you, I felt like I helped me, and I just wanted to love you, and I wanted to love me more than anything else. And sometimes I just wanted you to love me more than anything else. And sometimes I thought by loving you, that maybe I could love me, or that was the way that I loved me, or I loved us. I love you. I gotta go. Take care of you.